Listen, I don't know about you, but I started a business so I could do this. Travel, be with friends, be with family, create memories. I didn't do it to sit at the computer all day. I didn't do it so that I could just be in countless emails and Zoom meetings. I did it to create opportunities for myself and opportunities for others. So listen, if that's something that interests you, enjoying time with your friends, being out and about, definitely drop by Erica Williams' Classy Climb blog. Check out the YouTube channel. We've got over 2,000 videos of free information that's actually changed people's lives. People actually post their new jobs, their new careers, their new businesses all the time over at the channel. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Clown blog. Drop your city and state in the chat. You know, these are pre-recorded. Thank you for supporting us while we're on sabbatical. I've been coming in and out, dropping some good stuff here. And I just want you guys to see new bosses, 5K runs out in Africa, and equity battle. Right now, if you look around the United States, we're in a equity battle. I played a clip, I think a couple days ago, from Grant Cardone talking about 50-plus-year-old white man is a real estate game. You know, I mean, all the commercial buildings in Dallas right now, I think I mentioned it, maybe not in that video, are essentially like Johnny Bravo, the real estate ninja, and a couple other people have just all been teaming up, you know, very successful YouTubers buying Dallas commercial real estate. Why? Because people cannot refinance at the interest rates they are. They'll go bankrupt. So now you're fighting an equity battle where someone tells you this building's worth $5 million. Man, you bought that building before the pandemic for $800,000. I'll give you $2 million or $1.5 million, or I'll give you some money to keep you on your way. A lot of people are in an equity battle. People who do not know how to take HELOC loans, their credit isn't where they need to be to take them. They don't know how to take equity out of their homes for whatever reasons. They are like, well, I'll just list my house for sale. When it's this type of marketplace, unless your house is just top notch, you know, you should just figure out another play in the deal. Now, prime example where my mom is in North Carolina, you think, oh my God, how hot is the market in North Carolina? A neighbor, I don't know how many houses down, maybe 7, listed their house in 3 days. It was sold, gone off the market. There's a few other people in the neighborhood who kids are gone off to college. They got divorced. Different things have happened. Now they're listing their homes for sale. Essentially, we're probably going to pick up 1 or 2 and turn them into rentals because this is connected to a really great school district here in this area. But what happens is when people can't get the equity out their house, they're like, well, I'll just sell it. And that may be the best thing for them. They may need to go back down to an apartment. They may need to box all this stuff. If their kid's not coming back from college for the next 5 years, cool. You don't need to keep that home. Right. And a lot of people you're seeing have 1 or 2 kids. Right. So this lady down the street has 1 kid with this giant house. Once her husband divorced her and moved, I think he moved back to West Coast. She's like, keeping this giant house for what? For 1 kid? No. So you have a lot of that going on. All right. So again, also I played a clip, I think, of Grant Cardone talking. Again, listen, he is already targeting NFL players. Lamar Jackson. People read these big contracts and they send deals and ideals to those people all the time. This is why it's so important if you have a little black boy and you're trying to get him to play sports and you're trying to make him be the best sports person be, he needs to be some type of financial literacy training, because once he gets that diamond on his back, once he gets that million status in your tax returns, your phone, your data on Melissa's data is out there. I promise you. How do I know? Ask me. And the problem is with the way they have it set up, that's how they're going to drain and tax that young person in any sport. That's why they're mad about NIL money, but they're like, well, the black people going to run through it anyway. It's a hater response instead of saying, dang, how can I get some of this money? Or how can I help service some of these people with this newfound money? They're going to need an accountant. They're going to need some type of business service. I have to start marketing myself to these athletes. Grant Cardone is already telling you he's going after the athletes because, you know, they're getting this big lump sum of money. And he's like, I can show you how to become a billionaire and invest with me or partner with me, whatever it is he's trying to sell. Okay. And I just hope y'all didn't get lost in the last video seeing that, because that's really important. Now, many people are into Lulu. They don't recognize that America has essentially changed. This kind of running stereotypes that white people good, black people bad, and they poor. That's just not realistic. Right. And so much so this guy is at his job. Let me show you this. And he cutting up talking about, you know, Don't go look for missing Black people, which is crazy. I don't even know why he would say this, but this is something he said, not realizing the company he works for is owned by minorities. It's owned by a Black-owned woman. But that's how far removed most people are. They're not studying. Now, whenever I went to go get a job, I looked for like name of the company, where's their headquarters, who started the company. I try to do some type of light search, but I'm starting to realize more and more people just, if they get a job offer, they take it. They don't do no research. As long as they show up and a paycheck comes with their name on it, that's what they care about. And I'm gonna show you a chart in a minute, but let's do this because this is embarrassing and goofy.
Through a lot of the comments on missing Black people, and they're going through putting these type of comments telling all white people not to help search or share or anything regarding Black people. And I find it kind of ironic, and I find it kind of funny. Ain't that right, Rex? And the reason I find it funny is because you got on your uniform and your pictures, and it was an easy search to find out where you worked at and who you work for. You work for A&A. You work for A&A Security, right? They do a lot of things and they're in different states, but I find it kind of funny because looking at your uniform and looking at the label that's on there is A&A, right? Just to find out that A&A, the company that you work for, is a minority-owned business. I have a minority-owned business. I'm registered with the government also. So with a minority-owned business, I'm like, wait a minute. So since you feel that way against people that look like me, that's chocolate, you know what I'm saying? Since you feel that way against people that look like me and you want to run your mouth openly, I think we need to let your bosses know. I find it kind of funny because you're telling white people not to help with sharing or help search for and all that stuff, people that look like me. You know what I'm saying? Even though on my platform, I try to help everybody. It don't matter who you are. Hey, Rex, did you know that this right here was your president of the company that you work for? Did you know that? And did you know that he was the CEO? Did you know that? You know now. You see, in my business, since it's minority owned and we are registered through the federal government and all that stuff, I don't want anybody working for me that's going to get up here and make my business look kind of crunchy. That's an old school term. I don't want any kind of blight that's going to come on my company to make me look bad. I would rather get rid of the problem that's causing the cancer. So I already told you I'm going to give you the attention that you are looking for. I'm going to give it to you. So here it is right here. So I'm going to ask Mr. and Mrs. Lucky, do they want somebody like you on their team? But I ain't going to tell nobody else. A lot of y'all been hitting me up regarding people like this right here, because it's a lot of people that look like this that are going through a lot of the comments.
So you guys saw clearly the president, the vice president, and the CEO are Black people. This is a Black-owned company, minority-owned, woman-owned. You know, they're getting grants from the government, and this person literally works down the food chain and has no clue. Again, these are people out here with low information diets, low education. Right now, there's a massive flooding going on. Happy 4th of July, y'all. It's crazy. Massive flooding going on in Texas. They had girls missing at camp. And I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I'm just saying this. Many people are like, see, you Trumpers, we got rid of FEMA. I said, are you special needs? Red Cross. I mean, before you even get to the Red Cross, you got the state level, the local level, the National Guard. You got multiple levels before you even need to call FEMA that do rescue, that do research, that cordon off the highways. There's so many levels to it. Then on top of that, it's been consistent for the last 20 years. Churches, nonprofits, over 10,000 nonprofits respond to emergencies and research. All FEMA was doing was usually blocking the roads and stopping people from giving care and turning churches around in Katrina and turning churches around when they did research and turning around thousands of helpers in Asheville, North Carolina. Who's helped people? Not FEMA. The Red Cross, the Amish, churches. See, that's the hidden story of North Carolina. They really don't want to keep pushing on the news is we're still missing about 400 kids. And I think maybe 600 adults. They're saying they're misplaced. They're just haven't been, we don't know where they're at. They may have moved across town. If they moved across town, the child would be in school and we'd have the data. We're going to be finding bodies up in the mountains of North Carolina for years to come. My point in all this saying is people don't even do the basic research to know that's not an emergency. I need to call Trump. I need to call the White House. I need to call FEMA. No, you call your local fire and rescue. Then there's a regional fire and rescue. Then there's a state level. And then there's a National Guard response. These are all areas in Texas that are beside the water, and people for years have told them a little too close. They're like, oh, it floods every couple of 50 years. Here we are. Here we are. Okay. And so you already know the average person doesn't even know the basics for who to call in emergency. You know, who to call. The Weather Channel been told them. They're on low information diets. So these same people who are on very low information diets are all over Facebook right now talking about what's going on. Who's these kids getting rescued? What kids are missing? Even though they can find hundreds of videos, they can literally have a computer in their hand, an actual computer. This is a computer. It's not just a smartphone, it's a computer. And they could Google search what's happening. They just watch videos all day. That's really what they do. They just watch videos all day. And my eyes said this. Okay. So same thing with this employee. There's a new batch of bosses out here. They ain't running around saying they girl bosses. They not running around telling nobody. Really, they're just managing these companies. And that's why it's so important. The reason you're starting to hear so much at our ground level about acquisitions is because we have so many baby boomers who were the security guys, who were the National Guard response, right? The teamed up with the National Guard, the nonprofits that do all this work. There's a changing of the guard. We've been talking about wealth transfer for a long time. And people keep acting like they don't understand what that means. What that means is new faces of the same companies. This white guy's working for black people and don't even know it. He probably would quit his job. I told y'all when I owned that truck company, black men would come in the building, do interview with our staff and be like, who owns this? A woman. I'm quitting. And turn around and quit. Some of our most loyal people were older white dudes. And again, people have their own biases, their own issues. We were in a very systematic business. I never even interacted with the staff, interviewed a ton of them. I reviewed a lot of the applications for the insurance company. But overall, it's like after you go through 3,000 resumes, and people like 3,000 resumes, like literally, we manually went through 3,000 resumes via Indeed. A lot of people got just basic, borderline, goofy issues. DUIs, fighting with their wife, arrest, silly stuff. There's no reason you should be in your 40s and 50s still driving a truck and you have nothing to show for it. That's crazy. This guy about to lose his job, so he getting fired on his day off. That's the crazy part. He want to go online and talk about don't find missing black people. What are you talking about? You work for some black people. That's the slow people you're working for. You're working with really slow people who don't even know that who their job's boss is, CEO is. It's crazy. Let me show you this right here. And this is what I talk about when I talk about if you're sharp, you're smart, and you want to start a company, a template business, and let it run, you can. But most people trying to figure out how they can go run overseas and play vacation. So this is a black American who's broke after 60 days living in Kenya. He took $5,000. $5,000 is not enough money. If he told me he was going to go sit in Colombia, and he had prepaid his rent for 6 months, right, and put food in his house, I go, okay, $5K might hold you for 6 months in a $200 apartment in Colombia. $5K might hold you for 60 days in Mexico, depending on the quality of where you're trying to stay and the food and how many times you eat out a night. They see you coming, gringo. But to think I'm in Africa with $5K, whoever thought that was enough? This is why when I talk about having a way that you have reoccurring income, this is why I have such a bone to pick when I see Nomad Capitalist always talking about USA every other video, because that's his only business, is being betting against America when millions of people are trying to get here and make money and have a great life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's his only talking point. And when he doesn't talk about America, when he doesn't talk about what he thinks about Trump, when he doesn't talk about these things, they don't care. His views show they don't care. They want to hear him talk anti, to be the contrarian. Okay. Several of the people who are over there living in Bali and all these places, they doing YouTube videos in dark shaded rooms, when if a simple Bali villa with a pool and well lit is like $600 a month. You don't got sick. Where are you living? You living in a hole in the wall for about 100, 200, right? And that wouldn't be a problem. If that's your budget, that's your budget. But you doing 8-9 hours of YouTube, living in a hole in the wall, that was a poorly planned trip. That's not even enjoyable. I was talking to somebody, they were like, oh yeah, I want to go to Bali, but not if I can't go for like 2 months. And I kind of was giggling when they said that. I was like, well, you got kids, you're going to take them in the summer? He's like, I'm going to have to. I think it's rainy months in that time. I can't remember. But that's the thing. People are in these massive delulus about how much things cost and their really true plan. If you didn't plan your life in America, you're not going to go overseas and magically come up with a plan because you're well rested in the fruit and veggies. I saw a girl the other day talking about was she in Germany? Where's she at? No, not Germany, Spain. And there was like a cafe for kids to play while people drank coffee and work. It just was a regular community center, basically, but have a cafe spin to it. And she's like, see, over here in these countries, people love kids, and I've never experienced this. She was crying. I said, you've never been to an open space brewery that has a playground? There's like 1,000,000 of them in Austin. There's like 100 of them in Dallas. It's like when people tell me this stuff online, that all that tells me is they lived in extreme poverty in America. They were in America in a bad town, in extreme poverty, nobody in their family doing anything. So finally they go somewhere and they're like, this is a beautiful thing. And people in the comments be like, yeah, we got a ton of those here in Dallas. Right in Austin, down the street from where I used to live, is like it's called Old Gregory's Brewery. It's like half the doors are like sliding doors, half of it's open, it's brewing. They've got an open door part. They've got a part where the kids play and equipment and all this stuff. And so you're just talking about, and you can work, it's got Wi-Fi. That's why I'm like, when I hear this stuff, I go, you guys were so poor in America that you ran over to another country to spend $5 just so you can sit outside and eat and drink somewhere. You should be embarrassed. Now, we all need breaks and we all need sabbaticals and we all need mini retirements, but you really got to assess yourself on have you even reviewed the area you're in. That's why you're going to see all these videos, and you do see them now where people are like, oh, I spent 15 years overseas, I'm back now. The healthcare. No, you said the healthcare was great over there. You said the food was so fresh. You don't need none of this healthcare in America. I had to come back because of healthcare and keep my house and pay my taxes. Oh, okay. Cool. No problem. That means you okay. I'm gonna stop. Let me get out of there. Let me play this clip.
Out there with 5,000 USD, and my plan was to make that last. And I literally blew that money within 60 days. 60 days of my 90-day stay, I blew that money. That money was gone.
Now, what does that mean? You know, he went to Kenya, you know, and people are like, well, it depends on where he was staying. It depends on where he was doing this. It depends on, man, y'all, come on, man. And again, the people in the comments are hilarious. They're like, he must have tricked 80% off on a big booty Kenyan girl. I mean, they're real funny in here. This guy said you could spend 10K in a day in Kenya. They're like, you moved to a whole nother continent with a whopping 5K. They're talking about Kenyan women that good, huh? This lady said, my baby daddy went to Kenya with 5K and I had to send him money a week later. God almighty. Shit. I found Nairobi to be very affordable unless you're stupid. I mean, listen. We all live once. Okay? I guess it's for him to be real dumb. Why did I show you that? Oh man. Now there's a young lady I was showing her. She does group homes for the people who are recently released from prison, right? And this is the state is paying because they don't know where to put these people. They're older. All their families did once they got out of jail. They need help. Now, why is this more important than ever? She makes a lot of money in group homes for this because this is what's happening right now. You know, they locked everybody mama up during Giuliani area, and all them old people is coming home, just old. But the violence of America, man, everybody's a soy boy. So let me show you
Any
this.
type of crime, really. Statistically, criminals tend to be young, and today's young people just are not doing crimes like they used to. And the effects we're seeing on incarceration are just stunning. After the prison population peaked at about 1.6 million in 2009, we've already shed a quarter of that, and we're on track for it to wind up around 600,000. That's a stunning decline of 60%, and it's because of all of those guys who went to prison back during the spike in violent crime all those years ago are now filtering out of the system, and there are not new criminals coming in. There's a whole bunch of reasons for this, and we see it all around the world. There's advances in policing technology. It makes it harder to get away with things. There's the reduction of lead in the environment, which is a whole separate subject. There's advances in mental health medications. There's the fact that people just don't leave the house as much anymore. A couple of young people getting into an argument at a bowling alley might result in a violent crime, but that is not going to happen if that argument occurs over a multiplayer video game where the players are hundreds of miles apart and anonymous. And if you're saying, well, why were you presenting it like this is bad news at the beginning of the video? It's because for a lot of powerful people, it is bad news. If your whole deal is that we need to crack down on immigration because the streets are just total chaos, then you need the streets to be in chaos. But really, if you're part of any political movement that wants to just totally tear down society and start over, you also need that chaos. Anyone from any part of the political spectrum that insists we need to rewrite the Constitution in order to crack down on something or other, whether they want to crack down on the rights of the accused or on violent speech or to restrict the ownership of certain weapons, they can't let you see this. They need crime to be high. So when they are reaching out to audiences like you sitting in front of a screen, if the person watching is themselves in a position of safety in a quiet suburb somewhere, then you show them video from the most violent city and say, see, it's all like this outside. Or if you're Hollywood, you promise them that the future will be lawless because there's this larger, terrible secret that they don't want you to know, which is that different elements in society can come together and coordinate to solve massive problems. And in fact, we do it all the time because most people are good and competent and they want to make the world better. There is something chilling happening with America's prisons and America's prison population, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's summarized in this headline right here.
All right, basically, I mean, again, let's go there. Lower testosterone in our society, right? Kids are basically injecting themselves with steroids to even get to like the levels that their parents were. On top of that, he is right. There is a lot of reduction in lead paint, which show people struggle to read, write, understand. It led to violent activity. Again, you got a lot of these cities, and I'm going to go there for a second, inner cities that have old lead pipes that the cities are trying to do what? Replace and remove. It will take another 30 years of replacing half the pipes in the United States, right? And so, and I'm going to say this, and there was another clip I wanted to share, but I felt like it had a little bit of a racist skew, so I didn't want to do it. Or prejudice. Let me use that word better. It was like 90% of the murders the past year in LA or the past 3 years were committed by illegal immigrants. It wasn't even people. It wasn't the regular people. It wasn't the blacks. It wasn't the Latinos. It wasn't the Asians. The 10% of course was, but it was illegal immigrant disputes, illegal immigrant in just the city of LA. Just the city of LA. You know what I'm saying? And again, you had the opiates. I think opiate crimes come out maybe a little bit, but overall you have a lot of people who are porch pirates, right? There's not like this violent crime happening. I always feel bad when I see videos of people walking around New York because I'm just like, that's a lot of interaction. And it's still not as violent as it could be. And New York has some really violent stories or whatever. I show y'all this because you're thinking, okay, what does this have to do with 5K not being enough and new bosses? You're fighting an equity battle. Now, what is an equity battle? Let me show you the screen. And I'll kind of break it down a couple of different ways, I guess. Let's go here. Okay. All right. So this is my beautiful artwork. Don't judge me. Your girl was struggling to put this artwork together with the pen. Okay. Listen, let's go there. Hopefully it's big enough for everybody to see. If not, hey, I apologize. I'm gonna I can move it up one more. Let's see if it'll do it. Yeah. There you go. That's 150% blow up. If you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. All right. So all the way to the left of the line is 0. Your baby health and life is at the top pinnacle. And then at 75 years old, I'm just doing it for the national average of age, right? Because there's always people that live past that. 75 years, right? There's this cross, this just like income and health at about 28 to 32 years old. On average, people are making 30K a year. But I call that the baseline. And some people will stay on that baseline for the rest of their life. If you stay on that baseline for the rest of your life, this is your health and wealth. It's going like this. Everybody's gonna die, but here, problems, health issues, stagnation, It's hard. It's very hard. And I know there's people who their whole life they've been a teacher, whole life they've been this. I have a family member, I called them a miser, man. They were penny pinching and like, oh, things cost. And as they were growing up, they had a child and that helped them then, but they eventually got married. They bought a house, they have investments, they have paid off cars, and they still act like this. They're still acting like they're broke, mising, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But that's why I don't recommend, Dave Ramsey, all that stuff. On average, the person that sticks with Dave Ramsey's plan is like 18 months because they can't take it. It's such a lifestyle switch. That's why I tell y'all 18 to 24 months, you're a whole nother person if you so choose. Okay. So here I put this is where a lot of people get stagnant. They stay here 33, 35, 40, unless something happens. Right. Because at the end of the day, let's be truthfully honest. This is no money. Lower than this is low. Right. You're 20 and you're broke, people work with you, they make suggestions, they do recommendations. You're 30 and broke, people got to give you a little side eye, but they still gonna work with you, they're gonna give you some recommendations. You 40 and broke, it's like, nah, he a bum. I know people in our family right now, their pattern is they're in their mid-30s, and I'm like, look at the pattern you've done for the past 35 years. If you don't turn this ship left or right, this is how you're gonna be your whole life till you die. And every couple of months, you coming back with a problem. Every couple of months, you got a problem. Every couple of months, you losing housing. Every couple of months, you losing a car. You buying these little shitty cars outside the road, and there's something wrong with them, and they're tinkering. Like, people literally fall into bad habits. Like, whenever one of the families that our family helped, they had a child who, got orphaned, and so our church and other people were helping them. They had free rent at this place for, I think, 24 months, as long as they were in school. And they were eating out. They're getting food delivered to the house. They're goofing off. And we're like, no, this is your 24 months of like, go all in. Now, some people say, well, Erica, they needed a rest period from their parents passing. Yes, the church helped them get this free housing for 24 months. The government's paying the bill. Cool, as long as they go to school, finish this trade. But I don't think people understand that yes, I think she should have had the sibling should have had a 90-day rest for sure. Like, we somewhere, we live in. Okay, we got some food, we can cook. But then realize the countdown is on. Once you're done with this school program, this free lunch, this free payment is over. Like, you guys have like a year and a half to get going. Because it's when you're young and something happens to your parents, people feel sorry for you. But when you start to be 25, 30, 35, yeah, you can tell people the sob story. My parents died, this happened. They're going to go show, like, people are going to question you the further you get from 25. People are going to be like, what choices are you making? Why didn't you do this? You can still go in the military. We had a cousin who was a gymnastics trying to go for Olympians. Yes, we had two different family members going for the Olympics at the same time. One for track, one for Olympics, for acrobatics, gymnastics. Sorry, I'm losing my words. And fit as a dog, fit. And he started training classes. And he realized they don't pay a lot of people a lot of money unless you have a kid that actually goes to the Olympics. Then you start getting access to sponsors. And one of the family members came and said, like, dude, go join the military. You've been working with gymnastics since you were 8 years old. You're 32. Go do the military. Go have a great day. He joined the military. Not even a year later, he had a wife. He's got a house. He's very happy. And he still does some part-time training for gymnastics schools. But I just tell people, like, it's a drastic, somewhere in here, you're drifting till you say, yeah, I got to stop. Because people avoid risks. They'll stay at a job they don't like. They hate the coworkers. People eating their lunch out the refrigerator. They come in there. It smells. The office is bad. Well, at least I got a job. Instead of saying, guess what? Either the weekends or 2 nights a week, I'm applying for other places. I'm either going to get some more certifications, because that's really the only difference that's going to make it. Is, again, when we go here, this is the baseline, and you get that next job and it makes you 50, right? So now you got new challenges, new job, new investments, health. The reason people don't like that change is because it changes their friends. It changes their neighborhood. They might end up moving to a new neighborhood and they like their own neighborhood. It might change a lot of things for them. And I'm telling you, as a person who hit those mid-30s, like around mid-30s, when most of your friends are married, having babies, they become, and many of you have experienced this, like completely self-absorbed into what is the family doing? What are the kids doing? That's their number one excuse. Well, the kids are the kids. And you're like, bro, like, your kids are in school from 8 to 2. You're not doing nothing all day. You know what I'm saying? If you are Monday through Friday, you're washing clothes, cool. You're getting ready to cook dinner on. I have friends I've talked to on the phone, and they're like, it's 3:00. Kids are back ready to get off the bus. Yeah, I didn't even put dinner on. What you do all day? I just want you to understand the average person is they're trying to sneak in hours of comfort and relaxation as much as possible and doing nothing as much as possible, as much as they physically can get in there to do nothing. That's what they're doing. All right. As much as possible. Right. So when you do, as you go up on the income wise, you're tired, you need more energy for work. Couple things happen. You start health journey, personal trainers, new supplements. You're trying to kind of patch yourself to catch up to how you felt in your 20s, but you need more energy, right? New challenges, new jobs. Now you hear that whole, I put 70K because it's that index where, people making past 70K aren't any more happier. That's because the average person is making 35. So if they can make 70, they double their income and they'd be ecstatic. Okay. But I promise you, if you apply yourself, and I did put a video out on that, 100K, like I literally was a assistant property manager at an apartment complex and delivered pizzas and made 107 one year and 108, 101 or something the next year. And people are like, oh, I couldn't work as much as you do. I'm like, I go out all the time. Again, this is energy. This is 20s energy. I was like, I go out 4 nights a week. What do you get? Who cares? When I started pulling away from that group of let's have fun, let's party every week, let's go out every week, and I started going to conferences and I started applying myself and I started learning new skills and I started doing new things, those people became further and further away. Not because of money, but because of what was their priority. Their priority was to have a good time every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then go back to work and complain, girl, I'm at work this week. Why are you doing it on a Wednesday? We got to work. Why are you doing it on a Thursday? We got to work. What time Friday? Is it 8:00? I'm going to be tired. Right? I remember there was a group of us went snowboarding and it was like a last minute trip. People were like, well, I need to plan for this months in advance. Months in advance for a $300 flight and splitting the hotel room in half or split. It was like a rental house at one time. That just tells you where people are. They have no room in their budget and they don't feel the pressure of like, damn, I don't have any room in my budget, even if I wanted to do this, or I would have to rack up credit card debt to do this. That's not normal. Okay. So I put this line here of 100K and unlimited investments. This is where you start to see the change. When you buy 1 or 2 rental properties, and a lot of people online are complaining because most people are getting into their rental property for as cheap as possible, 3% down, something really cheap, and so their cash flow isn't great. I bought properties for 30K cash and then we had to put money in it to fix it, but the cash is all us because what? It's a paid for property. So when they compare themselves getting maybe $200 a month, I'm like, we're getting $1,800 a month. Well, no, let me take it back. $1,700 a month after we pay our insurance. And there's something else we pay for the property. Oh, some lawn care, our landscapers. We put that and then our property manager. So you know what I mean? It's it's hard to beat somebody getting $1,700 every month and you're getting $300 from your property every month. Because people at that point are playing the equity game. And even the person who put the money down and bought it cash free has more equity than you. This is why I'm such a big proponent of buying land. And then you're developing on the land, even if you're doing it slowly. At the end of the year, you have an asset that has a lot of equity to play with. You're not over leveraged. Okay. Now I'm at this for this chart, for the sake of argument for this chart, 300K a year are unlimited investments. When people get into their late 70s and 60s, I mean, they get into their own routines, eating at Luby's, RV living, bingo halls and light shopping for the grandkids. People get into routines that they can afford. And if possible, if you're smart enough on this, you'll know what true wealth is. Slow mornings and ability to travel. And I put those two as my number 2 on the right-hand side. Why are they so important? I will get up some mornings at 8. I'll get up some mornings at 6. I do a lot of walking with my family or when I'm visiting with our family members at 7 something in the morning. And some mornings I get up at 9 and 10. And people will be like, oh, I just couldn't even, that's crazy. And I was like, because I've put systems in place that run without me, that run continuously, that run without me having to look at it. Now, there are some projects I've started that for 90 days, I'm going to be intently messing with it, right? Intently. I mean, like every day we're going to be messing with this project, and we'll be documenting this coming up. And essentially, we're only doing that intently so we can document it and show the two guys replacing me, like, this is how you have to do this every day. Don't call me, ask me no questions, because you're watching me do it. You're being trained hands-on, and we're recording some video so you can actually follow the steps and the leads and the repeat. You know what I'm saying? We're buying the leads. You're doing the work in the deal. Keep it rolling. All right. And then we have a person hired over them that just maintains the pattern. Like, how much is going on? Okay, what happened this week? You spoke to this many clients. You know what I mean? The number 1 and 2 is slow mornings and the ability to travel. I was at the airport, and I had 10 minutes between my flights. And I don't know if that video came out or Peter did it yet for the Detroit stuff, but essentially I was like, I'm not going to run. I'm going to walk briskly. I mean, to the point my calves hurt. I did like 7 miles in a day between the airports. And I've always told people, I'm not running for a flight unless someone has passed away. And even if someone has passed away, they're already passed away. I'm just getting there to be respectful. If they haven't passed away, yes, I understand, but I'm never running for a flight. And what I started realizing is people are so on the edge financially that if they miss this flight, if they don't catch this flight, they may be in the whole 6 months. They may be in the whole another month. Next month, they're going to have to eat at the house every day because they missed this flight and they had to pay an extra $100 or $200 on American Airlines to get the connecting flight. When I started talking to people and hearing that stuff, I'm like, don't you think you need to make more money? Don't you think this is a problem? Even when I was broke and I didn't fly home for a whole year, I just work like crazy, like a crazy person. For that year, end of the year, I was like, ability to travel was wealth to me. There's no scenario that you can show me that the ability to travel is not a definition marker of wealth. People living in New York and acting like, oh God, Brooklyn, God, Queens, I don't want to live over there. Because who you're around, your net worth, your influences, all this stuff determine a lot of factors about your life. They just do. Right? People want to bump into a wealthy man. Is he going to be in Queens? Maybe not. Is he going to be in Hoboken, New Jersey? Maybe not. Let me go this way with this, my chart. Hold on. Let me go here. All right. Because I got a ton of these. I got to figure out how to print all these off. Okay. At the bottom, 0 to 20. This is just generic, but we're going there. Parents, situations, communication skills, adult skills. You're watching what's normal. This is why you'll talk to adult Black people and you'll be like, there's a segment of adult Black people I'm running into now that they didn't do the church thing. They didn't do the church thing. Grandma didn't take them. Mama didn't take them. It's almost foreign to them. They think you're crazy. You sound like a spiritual lunatic to them. This is why people like the 2819 out of Atlanta and these different places are drawing so many people with that old-timey Pentecostal hollering at people, because there's a generation of people who have not gone to church. They don't even understand that life. Like Kev on stage is so funny. He sells out all these tours, kind of making fun of church and the churchy experience. But you can see when he's in the audience, there's people that don't get the jokes. And I'm like busting a gut laughing. And I was with like 2 people and they never went to church as kids. So they didn't get the humor. That's a whole, like when I tell you, I know several adult people that literally went to church, went to Young Life, went to college in Young Life, married their person in college, and that's all they known, and they're putting their teenagers on that same path. I promise you, there's a whole segment of America like that. That's why when you show people wealthy Black people or Black people just living normally above average lives, they're shocked. Even in the neighborhood my mom's been in for so long, you can tell when new neighbors move in, it's like, man, it's like significant number of military retired Black people in this neighborhood. Yeah. And they're struggling just to get here. You know what I'm saying? There's some young military guy with a white wife and 2 kids. And he's like, damn, you know, again, people just different, you know, what they watch and what they think is normal. All right. So let me keep going. 20 to 25 movement. You get that first movement, that first job, you get the first real bills, military folks, college folks, you're getting movement around, you're interacting with people and seeing how some people got issues, you're doing all that, right? You got a lot of energy too. 25 to 35, still not serious, but life is compounding. Kids, marriages. 30, people change careers. 40, people restart and change careers, right? I always hear a bartender story, somebody changed over to real estate. I always hear I was in a dead end job and then switched over to this, or I worked at the grocery store and I switched into that. 35 to 55 is where most real estate investors start. Why is that? People are trying to look for a way to leverage, to retire, to have enough money to pay for their elderly parents and their young kids. It's when that math really hits people in the face. 35 to 50, people are still in denial. Life's busy. Some folks losing parents. This is something I will say. I've started to talk to people who I go, how's it being 50 or something, right? Or 48 or 50 or 45. Like, I'm always asking people who are ahead of me and older than me and like, hey, how is it being like that? And they always go, girl, I just closed my eyes and here we are at 50. I didn't realize. And now, perimenopause or night flashes, or men talking about, I need to worry about my 401k. And I'll be like, your 401k, you 50. What you about to do? Just some money saves better than none, but you have people kind of reverting back to what they were told in their 20s that they should have did, was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start saving money. Like, I remember my mom telling me, I'm gonna start saving money. And I was like, you make so much a year, you could save, 30K a year and it wouldn't even be a problem. She's like, oh, that sounds like a lot. Why would I save that much? I'm like, so you can make other decisions with that money, right? So you have people who are older, but doesn't mean they're wiser. Okay, so I call 40 to 50 the mad dash, the course correction, the Hail Mary attempts. I watch people who are older in our singles group all of a sudden turn 40 and they jumped up and married the first thing they could find, right? They jumped up and married girls 10 years younger than them. Then cried all the next year about how much a headache it was. But hey, I got married, right? So people start trying to make very drastic life choices. I'm going to tell you like this. I've watched people, they be married, one of the parents dies, and the person just kind of falls off the rails. Right? Because it's like a course correction. It's a mad dash to you're fighting. And again, we talk about seasons, but you're fighting that uphill battle. You're starting to feel your knees. You're starting to feel your back. The more people I talk to, they always say, Erica, make sure you take care of your back, girl. Make sure you take care of your knees. I'd be like, God, dog. Like I'll do videos. I don't know if y'all see them. I'll walk up, incline walking on the treadmill. And I'll do a lot of squats and this overhead press type thing. And I was recording on videos and I put some on TikTok or whatnot. But I remember people always saying, be careful, watch your knees, be careful. And it's because they've done, back-breaking jobs, or they've done, activity to the point where they're just looking for some rest at work, right? You get a lot of men who are like, I don't want to do any labor jobs, any security jobs. I don't want jobs where I got to stand around on my feet. What's his name? What is his name I'm thinking of? Aaron Clary talks a lot about security jobs where men love, like, if you need a low stress job, get a security job. You want to make more money, get your certifications to be an armed security guard, right? So a lot of that stuff starts happening at 40 to 50. Also, divorces happen. Kids are older. They don't need you in the same capacity. So now you have this newfound time, and people either have these, what we call midlife crises, or they make good decisions, right? So 50 to 60, I call it the oh snap, health, work, travel. They're making the bucket list of all the places they want to see. I have an aunt. She had gastric bypass surgery. She lost all this weight. She still has clothes hanging off her, where we're like, you got to buy new clothes, dude. You got to like change your clothes. But she's traveling all over the world. I mean, she just wrote a bucket list down, and her and her travel friends, they hopping on the cruise boats. They going overseas. Like, they're doing all the old lady travel they can do. And it's kind of like this, oh snap, health, work, travel. Now, 65 to 80, I call this consequences compound effect. Why am I calling it that? There are several people that are orbiting near our family. They're not necessarily our family members, but we've helped them, or we help their siblings, or we help their cousins, or we help their grandchildren. And it's always like, man, nobody checks on this older guy. And I'm like, what was he doing from 20 to 65? What has he been doing the past 40 years? Because if he communicates with his children consistently, effectively, he's been in their lives, he's advocated for them, he's been there for them, they ain't abandoning him at 65, right? What you're seeing is a lot of group home workers saying, I have all these older men and I don't know why they're like that. I'm like, I can tell you, they've abandoned wives, they've abandoned kids, they've quit jobs, and they look up and now they're 65 and a stroke happens or insurance, car crash. And it's like the compound effect of choices is upon them. And what's different about 65 versus 45? 45, you make some bad choices, you have some kids too young, you do some stupid stuff. You, in theory, not always true, could turn around as a man at 45 and remarry, have more children, and go live a life and do stuff. I remember we were at a hibachi place in San Antonio, and the Latino dude over there, he's buying crazy shots, he's buying other people's shots, he's buying the table shots. We're like, God, dude, calm down. And he was saying how he went away to prison for 10 years for like attempted murder or something to that effect. And when he came out, he met the woman, his wife beside him, right? And she had 3 little kids and she needed help. And essentially, he was able to get a construction job. He worked so hard, I guess harder than all the workers. They made him a construction manager, construction site manager. And he's like, this is the most money I've ever made in my whole life. I love being a dad to her kids because all my kids grew up while I was in jail for 10 years, but now I get to be a dad again to her kids. And if y'all can see the joy on this man's face as he was describing, I take him to the soccer, I do this, I do that. It was beautiful to hear that this man loved these kids so much. He's not a stepdaddy. He is their daddy, basically. You know what I mean? But that he got to live, he got to do it again. He got to do better the second time around. And that's what I hope for a lot of people. But with some of these jail sentences that are so long, it's robbing these people the ability to come out, start another job, work a warehouse job as a forklift operator or something to that effect, and get married again and try again, right? It really is robbing of them that. But again, we talk about consequences and compound effect. A lot of these people can come out of jail in 2 years, have a whole different life. Be working somewhere, get a car, get a house. But if you want to go hang out with the same goofies, you want to go party in Las Vegas, you want to get drunk every weekend, like, your remaining years free after prison are going to suck. It's just a consequence. It's a compound effort. You didn't miss any time doing crack or doing drugs. You didn't miss any time. You should try to figure out some new stuff to do with your life. If I've been locked up for 10, 15 years, I'm going to figure out how can I travel the whole United States and move around or go on cruises or do whatever because I've missed so much time, right? Up here, I said, how do you create new, right? On the right-hand side is classes, experiences, travel, new groups. That's just is what it is, right? Dance classes. I've been in dance classes. I've been in horseback riding classes. I've been on all kind of stuff to help me kind of be able to change, right? I threw away a bunch of clothes and bought some new clothes. And when my family saw them, they're like, okay, linen suits, Essence Festival, where you going? And I'm like, new stuff, new outfits, new stuff, new travel, right? So again, seasons, I've talked about this a lot of times on this channel, probably drives y'all crazy at this point, but January to March, people are new year, new me, tax refund, March Madness, basketball. Like, I don't even know why they have Black History Month in February, because you're talking about sports, Super Bowl. They throw like 5,000 things into February to make you forget about Black History Month. Okay. April to June, you have that, oh Lord, I got to get ready for the kids to get out of school and graduations, and the kids eat me out of house and home. Now, July is just a madhouse. July, called the dog days of summer. Now, 1 or 2 things happens to you in July. If you got your life right, you got some money in your pocket, July is a blast. You're taking your kids to Disneyland. You're going to places. It's hot as hell all over the whole United States. You're sweating like crazy. But you're enjoying your July. July 4th happens. You have some festivities, fireworks, swimming lessons, you name it, right? July, it can be a blast. August is the wound up to go back to what? School, right? The 25th, everybody kind of goes back to their schedule. The moms are out here begging for backpacks and haircuts. And then September is like, whoo, thank God it's starting to cool off. Thank God the kids are in school. And football. So what is October, November, December? We've talked about it a million times. October, November, December will be Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And if you're not careful, if there's no new experiences, no new travel, no new groups, no new friends, in here, you will live the same life on repeat for years and years and years. People do it and they blame it on the kids, right? Oh, I can't afford to do anything every summer because of the kids. And I'm meeting adults who, you ask them, where did they go for summers? What did they do? And it's like, nothing. I stayed at my grandma's house and played in the yard. Like there was no plan for that kid. They had no plans for these children, right? They just had them. I don't know why they had them. Maybe they're even bigger, but they had them, and so they were fed. They should be grateful. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna tell you like this: unless you add classes, experience, and travel, new groups, you're gonna be struggling. That's why you see so many ads for they'll be like, if you're a solo traveler, come join REI hiking groups. If you're this, come join this group and travel, because they know there's a demographic out there strongly right now, of course, that is figuring out, oh my God, like I better figure something out. 40 to 50 is the mad dash, is the course correction. That's why when I see groups of people and their churches have 20s, and then 30s to 40 single group. And then after that, 40s, they're just calling like adults meeting, something to that effect. Because they know as you get further down, unless you are willing to buy into the rhetoric. What is the rhetoric? Okay. If I'm 40 and I'm buying into the rhetoric, let me really try hard to improve my career the next 5 years, or I want to figure out how I'm able to retire earlier. How can I get a break off work? Oh my God, these kids, how will I be able to afford their college? You buying into either the kids path, the marriage path, the work path, I'm gonna be the best employee I've ever been path, whatever. At that point, that's when you start buying into it. You have to really buy into it. Your 20s and 30s, you may be drifting into it, but by your 40s, you have to really buy into it. That's why people start, losing a bunch of weight, changing their clothes, changing their hair, getting new cars, because they're realizing, okay, what's in it for me? What does enjoyable adult life look like for me? Right? I have friends who told their spouses, I don't want any more kids. I done did the kid thing. I'm over it. Right? And the spouse is like, okay, well, that door is closed. And they have to really assess that door is closed. What are you going to do about it? What's the new choices for your life now that door is closed? Some people don't know what their marriage is going to do without the kids. They don't know. So again, it's that they haven't really thought it out. And that's what you're running into, a bunch of adults who haven't thought it out. Right? And when they're ready to think it out, when they're ready to change, great. Right? Because I can tell you now, there's people who are in roofing from April to October. They love their life. It's crazy. It's slammed. It's busy, but they're going to walk away the year with $1 to $3 million in their pocket. Right? And the people that take off November, December, January, instead of, hey, are you having any leaks? Are you having any issues? Don't forget to call us in the spring to do a check on your house. Like people that are following up with services. That is where it starts to make the difference. Right? 30 to 40, when you have to start over and do a different career, you've added skills. So it's not as bad to have to start over because you can just apply the skills you have to something else, right? So let me go over here. I think I showed y'all this one before. But I'll show it again. Again, foundations are always going to be your credit score, your jobs, your savings, stability, cold truth. 5K to 20K set aside. That dude went to Kenya with 5K. It wasn't enough for him. He didn't have a great budget set aside, right? What's in your 401k? What can you take a loan against? At this point, you should be upscaling, looking for other options, opportunities. Why? Just to challenge yourself. A lot of people are sitting in jobs and situations. They're very stagnant. They're not happy with life. And there's no need to be that way. So, again, these levels, once you get up here, is you get to change. You get to do whatever you want when you get to these higher levels. Let me see if I found this other thing I want to show you. I think I showed y'all him before, but I'll show him again. Yeah, I'm going to show him again. Okay, so this is Sean Santos. Again, when 2019 happened, he was like, yo, I want to get out of what I'm doing. I want to start a business. I want to do this. And this is right before the pandemic, right? So sell their house in California and they moved to where? Like Utah. Brand new house, but like probably a $200,000 house because it was before the pandemic. And so even after the pandemic, was able to sell that house and get another house, right? But if you watch, his ability was the money from selling their house in California gave him 18 months to tell his wife, while she kept working as a nurse part-time here and there, let me really build this business. Now here he is. You know what I'm saying? Getting 200 million views, no ads, no dancing, no income claims. And really, it's just he's saying things that guys and people want to hear. Right? You know, I want better. How can I make more money? You know, how can I change my life? I want to spend more time with my kids, right? But he's doing it in a comedic way. A lot of stuff is comedic, right? But he's talking about what people are bothered by, their mortgage, their stuff. You know, they want to have social media skills. They see people making money online, but what advice to follow? Right? And so I just show him an example because a lot of times people think you got to be a certain way, you got to do whatever. His dog is a trip. Okay. So again, he's just showing everyday life. I told y'all this before. So anyways, long story short, why am I showing you this? Why does it matter? People are spending a ton of time online. A lot of people are trying to figure out what's the least amount of work I can do to change my life. And at the end of the day, if you really lean into change, in 2 years, you'll have a completely different life. Dude's filming himself running around and goofy off all day. So anyways, you guys, there's so much I could show. But again, if you're a real estate agent, we've showed this guy before, right? You're a realtor. How can I get more clients? How can I talk to people? You can there's two strategies. You can run around filming houses, or you can run around telling people that they can actually afford a house. They can get a mortgage. Okay. So there's a million techniques if you're a real estate agent to get people to still keep buying stuff. Plenty. People are walking around a low information diet and low information in their head, period. So you're just running around here teaching all day. That's all you're doing. It's a lot of opportunities and ways to do it. Let me see. Do I have the other one? I don't think I do. But all that to show you that it's the choice is yours. Let me see. Oh yeah. We had our Black Friday special, I think, or whatever. July 4th. Happy July 4th special. We've applied it to this code now. Normally this would be $5,000. But we've included some more new stuff, books, 5-day kickoff. This is a really great training. If you guys actually go watch these, are really great. Virtual VIP pass to Panama, creating investment groups, 6-figure YouTube, getting money for your business, 1-page business plan, financial freedom starts from the basement, laptop into ATM, Wow Investment Wednesday, tax lien course, investing in marijuana, money on tap, smartphone millionaire, ultimate rise of 20%, middleman and millions, coaching, 6-figure coaching, 2021 and beyond. Enjoy that course. Winners coming guide, winners coming for who, digital real estate, clicks to currency. All those are included. And I think it's like 90% off with the code like July 4th. So totally enjoy that. It's a lot in there. At the end of the day, it's all digital. Digital information is steps that you can take to change your life. You want to change it, you don't. It's cool. We have like a documentary coming out, I think October, November. Depends on when AM1 and them are done editing it or whatever. And I just film 90 days, like a 90-day sprint of me with a combination of projects. And so I think you guys will enjoy it. Pretty cool video. But that's it. So I'm going to go to this 4th of July. I'm not going to wear my Trump hat. Going to be on my best behavior. If you haven't seen also this one, the AI Business Builder, really good stuff. Again, for anyone who wants to start a profitable AI powered business, I mean, it's a combination of ChatGPT and all kind of stuff that's helping you set this stuff up. But go check it out for yourself. I think it's $17. We've been promoting it for a while. Again, how to attract clients and customers. You can do it. So anyways, this is your girl, Erica, Classic Client Blog. I'm not going to hold you all day. Good luck to you out here. I really hope you guys get to make some type of decision to make the next 6 months matter, because we are at that window where people start saying there's 6 more months in the year. And before you know it, it'll be like there's 3 more months in the year. And oh my God, it's Christmas. How are you guys doing? I already pretty much know 95% of the travel I'm going to do for the rest of this year and how much it costs. Everything else is filler. Our biggest part was getting over this 90-day hump where we could film this mini documentary, and like, you know, don't call it a comeback. Been here for years, right? It's a video. But when they done editing it, we'll release it. And that's like a full, I think, hour and 30 minutes, like a little movie. But good luck, you guys. It's your girl, Erica, Classic Client Blog. Enjoy your 4th of July.
You've probably been seeing these commercials for Middleman to Millions course. What is Middleman to Millions? We're teaching so many people how to have service businesses. The upcoming year, one of the fastest growing businesses you will see are service businesses and digital businesses. Why is that? Because so many things need repairs, need maintenance, and guess what? We have a shortage of men and also women who could do things. Listen, I'm not the best with a hammer, but I know I can gather a crew of people to get things done, and that's what I've done with 2 of my service businesses. And that's what I'll be teaching if you check us out in the Middleman to Millions course. And look forward to us on the road with Digital Liberty Tour 2024. It's Williams.